Hi guys, this is Chet here from Avion Technology here in the Chicagoland area. We are a digital agency. What we do, we work with other digital agencies, help them scale up, and secondly, we also work with a lot of small businesses, right? So today, what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about what's after this. A lot of times, a lot of small business owners actually, especially after they've been doing it for like 15, 20 years, they come to this point where they often struggle with what's after this, right? So I have seen that a lot of times the journey of running a small business and starting your own business is the same as the journey of marriage, right? So you have the first 7 years, which is called the honeymoon phase. Then you have the next 7 years, which is called the disillusionment phase. Then you have the next 7 years, which is called the misery phase. And by the way, this is all documented. I'm not making this up, right? And then you have the next 7 years, which is actually called the reconnection phase, which is why you see a lot of couples in their early 50s who are like reconnected and they're like in love again. It's also called the second honeymoon, right? So if you look at any marriage, there's typically 4 phases. The first phase, the first 7 years, honeymoon phase, it's a lot of dopamine. It's like the couple is like madly in love with each other. They're very romantic. They'll buy their first house, have their kids, just like the first everything. The second phase is the disillusionment phase. That's when all that heady rush, all that dopamine starts to settle down. They get into like the serious stuff, like raising their kids, dropping them for taekwondo, dropping them for basketball, enrolling them in school, all that stuff. At this point in time, usually also the parents, they start needing some help, some care. Then the third phase is the misery phase. That's when usually your kids are teenagers, right? At this point in time, there's no excitement in the marriage. Like all the dopamine has settled down. You see each other and you start bickering. The kids are teenagers, so they're bickering too. The parents are usually like in their mid-70s. They've kind of, they're closer to the finish line. You have your worries around that. Your career also sometimes in mid-40s, it's kind of stalled. You are not where you want it to be in life. So usually a very shitty time. And then, after that 7-year patch, so it's approximately after the 21 years, you actually start reconnecting. You actually start enjoying life again, right? So I have seen that it's the same for business. So the first 7 years, you are like, I want to change the world. I have dreams, blah, blah, blah. I want to do all this. The next 7 years is usually when, you're like, you actually see reality, right? You see all the paperwork, you see all the government compliances. So you have that disillusionment phase in business as well. And the next 7 years, right, that's from year like 14 to year 21, is the misery phase, right? When you're like, why did I even start this, right? And I'm talking about like the typical small business owner, like the specialist, right? Like who owns a small plumbing company. I'm not talking about like someone who has like a SaaS business and has like 100 million company now. Those guys usually operate on like a 10-year kind of a basis. So they'll start, they'll scale it up, they'll sell it, do something else, right? I'm not talking about those guys. I'm just talking about like the real small business guy. Has about $2, $3, $4 million in turnover. He's doing it for like 20 years. So this video is for him, right? So like in between year 15 and year 20, like you hit that misery phase, right? You're like, I'm tired, right? Because running a small business, let's be honest, it's like being on a treadmill, right? You gotta get up, put all of your personal shit aside, put all of your everything aside, and you gotta get to work every freaking day of your life, right? There's no holidays, no time with the family, nothing. It's just business, business, business. So between year 15 and year 21, you're in the misery phase, right? You're like, why am I doing this? So this is for you, right? So first thing I want to talk about today is about burnout, right? Burnout is real, right? Unfortunately, in today's world, willpower, stamina, motivation, energy, these are all looked at as if they are infinite resources, and the reality is that they're not, right? Everyone has a certain amount of motivation, willpower, bandwidth, energy, emotional stamina. It's almost like a cell phone battery, right? If you used your battery on one day, at night you put it for recharging. Why? Because otherwise, next day, you wouldn't have any battery left, right? So what has happened is usually at the 15-year mark, you're burnt out. You don't have anything left inside of you, right? A lot of times, a lot of business owners between year 15 and year 20 actually become very irritable and short tempered, just like how folks become very irritable and short tempered after 15 years of marriage. Why? They do not have any energy left, right? They're tired. They're tired of dealing with the same problems, the same shit day in and day out. And the short temper, the anger, it stems from just that they're burned out. They don't have any energy left. They're just tired of taking care of problems. So the first thing is, if you're in that situation, remember, burnout is real, 100%, right? What are you going to do about that? Well, I'm going to do a later video about that. But there are parts of this that you can actually apply, right? The first thing that I would recommend, and as opposed to a lot of other internet gurus, the first thing I would recommend is, if you're facing any kind of a burnout, is to actually reduce your working hours, right? Become more productive so try to become more productive and try to spend less time at work, right? And try to spend at least an hour or two outside of work every day. You want to do things where you can disconnect from your business, because that's where you're going to recharge your batteries, right? Please do not, as a response to burnout, start spending more time in the business. That is just going to accelerate whatever is happening right now. So for 1 quarter or 2 quarters, if you usually spend 12 hours a day in your business, try to reduce that. Spend about 8-9 hours. Take 3 hours off. That will help you recharge your batteries. I'm not suggesting go on a vacation, because usually, as you know, in all middle class families, vacations are time of more stress, right? It's all about catching plane flights and catching connection flights and checking into a restaurant where the kids eat food and fall sick, and then you're in a foreign country with kids who have tummy upset, and then you have to find a doctor, blah blah blah. So not fun, right? So instead, just reduce your work hours. That's the best thing you can do, and you don't have to do it permanently. You can do it just for a quarter or two, right? But burnout is real. Number 2, have a life vision, right? Know why you're doing this, not from a perspective of like 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, but from a perspective of 30 years, right? Whenever a ship is in trouble, right, during a storm, it always has its compass so that it knows where it wants to go, right? Your life vision is like that compass, right? It's pointing to the north. It's pointing to where you want to go. Have it written down on a piece of paper, right? And see it, like, even if you want to see it every day, that's not a problem, right? In fact, in times like these, you have to see it every day, right? A captain is going to look at the compass all the time during a storm, because that's his way out. The next is self, family, community, world, right? That's how we want to impact, right? But remember, it starts with the self. If you are burned out, if you are shitty, if you are angry, your family is not going to be happy, right? And if your family is not going to be happy, your tribe, your community is not going to be happy. And if your tribe is not happy, the world, the village is not going to be happy. So, as in planes, right? You have to put your air mask first before you help your child, right? Similarly, in this situation, you gotta be healthy, you gotta be happy, you gotta feel fulfilled before you try to help someone else, right? So again, this is very important. Next is hobbies, and that's something that helped me personally. I do a couple of things every day which helps me disconnect. I love to read, I love to write, and I love to learn new languages, right? I'm in the process of learning a couple of languages. Why do I do that? These are things where there is no goal, no destination. These are things that I like to do just for the heck of it, right? Always have a couple of things in your life where there is no goal, right? Things that you just love to do for the heck of it, right? Why? Because these things become your coping mechanism, right? When you go through a lot of... So Murphy's law about life is that one thing doesn't hit us. It's usually multiple things that come and hit us from all directions, and those are the sucker punches that kind of, put us down. So the first thing that I want you to kind of know is that, have a couple of things in your life where it's not about reaching any goal, but it's about being in the present and enjoying the present. It could be eating out, going to restaurants, working out, whatever it is, but something where it's not about a goal. It's about being in the present And finally, there's one last vignette that I want you to go with. It's about sweet spot, right? For life, remember that there is a sweet spot to everything, right? Whether it's income, whether it's wealth, whether it's health, whether it's time spent with the family, everything has a sweet spot. A lot of times, we are in a situation, especially fueled by social media today, where we look at someone else and we say that's the life that we want, not realizing that that person actually could be a coke addict. That person could be in a lot of debt, and the lifestyle that they're showing you is a fake lifestyle. You in fact have more money than what they have. So remember the sweet spot, and count your blessings. Allah, you probably have a small business, yes, but at the same time, you might have fantastic kids who are doing really well in their life. You might have a fantastic group of friends who really care for you. But your parents might still be around, right? A lot of people, a lot of celebrities don't have parents, right? Or they don't get along with their parents. They don't have spouses, You will be surprised how many of these people that we see and we adore and admire and want to be like, they regret their life. They hate their life. There's a reason why so many celebrities take drugs, right? It's to escape from the pain of being themselves. They hate being themselves because they have no one to share it with. They don't have a loving spouse, they don't have a loving family, they don't have loving kids, they don't have loving parents, right? So don't feel that just because you're not there doesn't mean that your life is worthless. If you've given your family a decent roof on their heads, if you've put your kids to a good school, to good college, if you have parked money for a pension fund, if you're doing some impact within the community where you're helping others, trust me, you're doing well. So again, I think a lot of it is, the burnout, the fatigue, which often speaks. Right? It's we speak from a position of pain, and a lot of times it's that pain, that constant pain, which is talking. So what I do advise you is that for the next quarter or two, excuse me, try to see if you can finish 12 hours of work in 9 hours, and then just take 3 hours off to enjoy this. Because you'll make a connection with something really important in your life, and that reconnection will actually help you engage much better in your business again. Again, this is Chet here from Avion Technology. We do websites, we do apps, but most importantly, we work with a lot of small business owners and help them realize their dreams. This is our number, this is our email. Give us a shout, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.